Thank you. Good afternoon, and my name is Antonina Kamelchik, and today my colleague Polina Levitskaya and I present the European Humanities University. And our storytelling is dedicated to the Augustinian Monastery. And before I start, I would like to say a few words about the team. The four of us are students of the Excuse me. Yes, the four of us are students of the EHU, which is located in the old town of Vilnius. As I said, I am studying in the European, my name is Antonina, and I'm studying in the European Heritage Program. And my main focus is museum research, as well as humanities and liberal arts education. Two of my other colleagues, Roman Gankovic and Alexander Furs work more with visual environment. As a rule, they participate in projects focused on humanities as photographers and or designers.
Good afternoon. My name is Polina Levitska, and I, as Antonina, study on European Heritage Program. And my main area of interest is spatial planning. For us, each student, it is important that our university is located in the center of the old town of Vilnius, which is included in the UNESCO World Heritage List. Due to its location and the very history of the place, every time that we come to the university, we inevitably deal with heritage. From whichever point our path lies, we see many places that are historically important for our Belarusian culture as well.
Today, our university is located in Augustinian Bažnyčia, or the Augustinian Monastery, which is an important culture point of Vilnius as a whole. The church neighboring with it, it is the Church of the Mother of God of Consolation, a monument of the late Baroque church architecture, the last Baroque building in Vilnius. In our work, we try to express the spirit of the place in which we conduct part of our educational process, that is our alma mater. It really helps us to develop spiritually. It was important for us to reveal the interconnection between the church and the monastery, since they are completely invisible and harmoniously complement each other.
The Augustinian Monastery is an important cultural site for the history of Vilnius. It has experienced a number of historical events. Initially, this place was a wooden church of Chapel of the Transfiguration of the Lord, which belonged to the Carmelites and, after about 5 years, passed into the possession of the Augustinians. The Augustinians, in turn, put out several neighboring buildings, and as a result, monastery buildings were formed and united with each other. The building of the monastery, which has survived in Vilnius to this day, was erected on the site of the burnt wooden church in 1746 to 1768, and consecrated in honor of the Blessed Virgin Mary the Comforter. At the end of the 18th century, next to the church, the main building of the monastery was built along Mokshta Street, where today the European Humanities University is located. After many different transitions from one religious and cultural institution to another, in 1918, the building of the church became the property of the Castle Church, which was engaged in its restoration, and the neighboring building of the monastery was transferred to the University of Stefan Batory.
During the Second World War, part of the architectural ensemble was damaged and even destroyed. At the end of hostilities, apartments for teachers of the Vilnius University were occupied in the surviving buildings. At the same time, a vegetable grain warehouse was occupied in the church itself by the Soviet anti-religious authorities. This caused irreparable damage to the internal state of the building, as the interior was destroyed by reinforced concrete ceilings, and the Baroque church with the classic high ceilings were turned into three-story building for industrial needs. This difficult period indeed ended with the restoration of Lithuania's independence, but for more than 2 decades, funds for the restoration of the church and adjacent monastery buildings were not found. This continued until 2017, when the building of the monastery was transferred to the usage of the HU. The church itself is of a great interest from an architectural point of view as well. Firstly, in Lithuania, it is quite rare to find a temple with a single tower of the front facade, which is the castle of the Mother of God of Consolation. And secondly, the church is the last Baroque building in Vilnius. During our full-time education, we run into the history of this place every day. The very fact that the church has not been restored amazed us students in a good way, because it makes this building even more attractive and vibrant. It really has some absolutely amazing power in which you can find inner peace.
The historical figures whom we have chosen for storytelling are in one way or another connected with our university. And the first person is Matthäus Valentius. In the period from 1833 to 1842, when the Theological Roman Catholic Academy was located in the main building of the Augustinian Monastery, one of its teachers was Matthäus Valentius. Subsequently, Matthäus became a bishop and writer. He was involved in enlightenment, organized parish school, and libraries. In addition to the fact that he himself wrote books, he also took care of some publication of Lithuania, mainly of spiritual and religious didactic content.
And the second person is Thomas Venclova, with whom our university has a certain connection. A couple of years ago, Thomas Venclova gave a lecture at our university, and he is one of the most important personalities in Vilnius. He is a Lithuanian poet, translator, literary critic, essayist, dissident, and human rights activist. His social circle included Nobel laureates Joseph Brodsky and Czesław Miłosz. Brodsky generally considered him completely equal to himself and even repeating his fate, which is why he tried especially to help Thomas with forced immigration to the United States.
On this slide, you can see some traditional Lithuanian food, which was šalti barščiai, tičkukuliai, and šakotis. The latter is sweet and can be stored for up to 6 months, and the other two are very hearty dishes.
There are many important historical sites in the old town of Vilnius, but today we will tell you a little about only three. The Gediminas Tower is part of an architectural ensemble that has particularly survived from the late 14th, early 15th centuries to the present day. This tower was the upper castle of the rulers of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania, and was used as an arsenal and a safe house. While the lower castle performed residential and representative functions, now the Gediminas Tower is a museum with an exposition dedicated to the history of the city. On the upper tier of the tower, there is an observation deck, which is especially popular among city residents and tourists.
The second one place is Ostra Brahma. Ostra Brahma is one of the most important sites of Vilnius, which is also an object of religious pilgrimage and monument of history and architecture. Brahma was built in the Gothic style from 1503 to 1522, when Vilnius was surrounded by a city wall with 5 and later 9 gates. In addition, there is one of the main Christian shrines of Vilnius, Poland, Lithuania, and Belarus, the miraculous image of the Mother of God of Ostra Brahma. This is a rare image of the Mother of God because she is without a baby in her hands. The third one place is Saint Anne's Church. It is located in the old town of Vilnius and is a monument of Gothic architecture. It is a particularly beautiful heritage site, the facade of which has come down to us in almost the same form since 1581, when it was restored and reconstructed after a fire. The Church of Saint Anne is so beautiful that there is even a legend, according to which Napoleon in 1812 admired the elegance of the building and regretted that he could not transfer it to Paris.
That's all. Thank you for your attention.